Today we're going to talk about fire starting, and as you can see, it's pretty wet out here right now. We just had a pretty heavy rain, had about 1.5 inches of rain last night, but I'm going to show you guys just how you can start a fire even when it's wet like this. Now, one of the hardest parts about starting a fire when it's wet like this obviously is finding some dry kindling. You got to get something going. Once you get your fire built, you get a little bit hot, you can start throwing somewhat wet wood on it, and it'll kind of start drying it out as it goes. Now what I'm going to do, you see the back side of this tree is dry. This bark peels right off. If you collect you up some of this is going to make great kindling. It'll be a good start. Another thing you can do if you're looking for smaller kindling is find dead pieces of wood, maybe something like this, and if you break them open, it's going to be dry on the inside. So if you can get down to that dry part on the inside, you can shave some of that off and use that for some more kindling. So I'm going to show you some of the methods that I keep in my bug out bag for fire starting, kind of show you how they work, and give you guys some other ideas on different fire starting methods. Alright, so these are the three methods that I keep in my bag right now. First one is, these are actually fuel tablets. They're similar to the trioxane tablets, and basically you light one of these and this thing will burn for about 8 to 10 minutes. What I did just to keep them dry is I got a little match tube and weatherproof matchbox, and then I had busted them in half. I got about 3 or 4 of them in here. These are really good if you're in a pinch. I kind of use these as a last resort. The other method that I like, steel wool and batteries. You can use any battery. I mean, if you got some of this in your car and you're in a bind, you need to start, you can use jumper cables and your car battery. You can use your cell phone battery even. As long as you got some power, you just touch this to the positive and negative. And I'll show you guys real quick how this works. This is actually pretty nice. I prefer a 9-volt just because both the leads are on the one end. I'm not going to use up all this because I want to save some for my bag. Rip some of this off. Bunch it up a little bit. And then if you just take it and touch it, you can see it's starting to get an ember. You can see the embers glowing. This is a really good method. Obviously you want to keep the batteries and the steel wool away from each other. I like to keep them in plastic bags. For one, they keep them dry. They also keep them away from each other too. The other method I like, it's probably my favorite. This is a magnesium fire starter. Okay, magnesium burns very hot, very hot. I mean, you'll see when I do this that that this thing actually burns white. This is actually a good way to start a fire if you're even in the rain. I mean, you can do this at any time. I've tried a couple different ones. The ones that you buy, like I think the Coughlin and some of the cheaper ones that you buy on the internet, they're not as good, because the reason is they got other metals mixed with the magnesium. And I've actually done a test on this, and I believe it was a Coleman brand one that you can buy at Walmart, and the difference between the two is night and day. This one here is made by Doan Machine Equipment, and they're actually right here in the US. This is pure magnesium, and on the back side here it's got the flint. So what you do I found this piece of wood, dead wood here, and it's pretty dry right here, so I'm going to do this and show you. You want to take and hold your knife at about a 90-degree angle to the stick of magnesium, and you want to shave it off. You got to press kind of hard sometimes. And what we're looking for is a pile of shavings about the size of a quarter. Takes a little bit of time. A lot of people say use the back end of the knife. I can never get that to work. This is just so much easier. I carry a knife sharpener in my bag anyway, so I like to just go ahead and use the blade side of it. It doesn't really seem to dull it too much. Another thing about this Doan is that it's actually guaranteed for life if the flint ever comes off. And I've even noticed a big difference in the flint on the back side. When you spark this, it's one spark, it's a lot of spark, and it seems to ignite the magnesium a lot better than the other ones. The other ones, the glue, I think what they use is kind of cheap, and the flint, I've actually heard of the flint falling off, which is not good. You want to keep this together. And it's also got a nice little thing, you can keep it on a keychain. This is actually what the military uses. I believe all of their, the pilots and stuff carry these, so if they go down and they're in an emergency survival situation, they have one of the most important things they need, which is fire. So I'm gonna... Okay, I zoomed it in because I really wanted you guys to see just how this works. So I got a pretty good pile here. You want to have your kindling ready. Okay, so I've got some of this bark that I've broken up for demonstration purposes. I also made this fuzz stick. Okay, and basically all you do is you're just taking the wood and just kind of half whittling it away to make what they call a fuzz stick. And what this does too is, in wet weather like this, you're getting down underneath that wet outer part and into the dry wood underneath. Plus you're giving it pretty good kindling. Okay, so you want to have all this ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put this over it, next to it. Should help it start up much better. And then you just take the flint side of this, put it down to it. Now watch, like I said, this stuff burns really fast, so you got to have everything ready before you strike this. Now, I'm not going to build a big fire here. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, so you guys can get an idea how this works. So, and this should go with one strike. Ready? Oh, nope, one. How about two? There it goes. As you can see, I've got embers. So from there, there's still embers burning there too. So you can actually do this on the bottom side of this bark too, because this is pretty dry. Get yourself a good ember in this bark, and you can carry it with you over to your fire or wherever you're going to build it. So those are just a few of the methods that I use, that I keep in my bag. There's tons of other ways. Obviously, you know, put a regular Bic lighter in there. I find that's actually the best way to ignite those fuel tabs. You can do it with a flint and steel. It just takes a little bit more. You could actually use a magnesium on top of that fuel tab to really get a good fire, because that fuel tab burns very hot and it burns for a very long time. So that would give you the opportunity to maybe gather up more kindling while your fire is kind of going. But you really want to try to have everything all together at once if possible. Another method that you could do is cotton balls work really well with flint and steel. And you can actually take and dip them in some petroleum jelly, put them in a bag, put them in your bug out bag, and it should keep forever. They fire right up. It's a good method. There are other methods that people have approached me with, as far as, you know, the pint cans with the toilet paper and the alcohol and the matches and stuff. That's great, but that's not something that you're going to want to put in your bag. That would work better for a home. I probably wouldn't even put that in the truck because I'd be worried that, number one, if the lid's not on tight, it's gonna, your alcohol is gonna evaporate off. Plus, with as hot as the car gets, you don't want to take a chance. I actually keep those fuel tabs in my truck. That's what I found to be the best way. They're not going to get affected by the heat. And that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. It's rufnit7@gmail.com. Check out my Facebook page. It's Rufnit, RUFNIT Survival Journal. And I want to shout out to all the guys at Evolution of the Apocalypse, man. Check out their podcast. It's a great show. They cover beer, they talk about survival, and they talk about zombies, man. It doesn't get any better than that. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.